everyone, and welcome to another edition of Dayton Sports Huddle, The Dish. I'm Jeff Louderback with my co-host Richie Moody. And Richie, it's March Madness. We're about ready for the, I believe, the Sweet 16, but our guest today had a heads up on March Madness with the high school basketball tournament. We're with Trotwood-Madison head coach Rocky Rockhold. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And we both offer our congratulations on winning the Division I boys state tournament after two previous Final Fours and
Division II.
Division II, correct. And well, you probably could have won Division I.
Oh, I think Mueller would have had something to say about that.
Would have been a great game. I would have loved to watch.
Would have been fun, right?
Would have been fun.
So, about that, you've reached the Final Four 3 straight years now. Previous 2 years ended short, and you're cutting down the nets. Now, how does that feel?
It feels great. I mean, I think the first thing that came to mind that I've told everyone is I felt so prideful of the guys who were there that day, that put in the work, and really prideful of the guys who laid the foundation for us to be there. There are a lot of teams that could wish they could have at least even played in those games that we played in the prior 2 years. So, you know, we don't take it for granted. We're glad that we had that opportunity to play on that stage and take our kids to that stage. I guarantee you a lot of teams would trade league championships for a berth to the Final Four. I know I would. Without a doubt. So
yeah, it takes a lot of work when you go into this, and that's probably what you're most prideful and proud of the kids, the effort that they put in, and it creates that family atmosphere in the background as well.
No doubt. We work really hard to create the culture. And the culture for we're going to coach hard, but we're going to coach hard with love. And as a player, you're going to play hard, and you're going to play hard and love those that are in our program and love those around us. And it's always a tough balance, but it's great to see on that stage that it pays off. We felt like a lot of payments had been given to us along the years anyway, but to be able to do it on that stage is like the ultimate payoff.
Did you feel like there was any certain time or certain maybe something that happened in a practice or in a game over the last 3 or 4 years that really changed that culture, changed where you guys were going as an organization?
I do. I think, go all the way back to 2014, the first time that we went to the Final Four, you could just see the kids carrying a different mentality and kind of carrying a chip on their shoulder that, you know what, if we're going to do this, we got to do it this way, and we've got to do it with everything we have. And you started to see that shift in practice. There were a lot of times that we couldn't practice for more than about an hour and 15 without guys really just getting after each other. And so that's when I knew we've built something special when we're competing like that in a practice session.
And in the state championship game against Columbus South, that was one of your more competitive games all season, and you were down, I believe it was 68-60 with 5:32 left. There was a timeout. What did you say then? What was the plan moving forward? Because you're in danger of a third straight final with 4 periods, falling short of your ultimate goal.
So believe it or not, I know exactly what timeout you're talking about. Mari Davis had just gotten a steal, driven the length of the floor, got a nice layup, and we called a timeout, and I think probably a lot of people felt like, oh, they're going to make an adjustment or switch. We didn't. The timeout was genuinely me, as loud as I could, telling each and every player how great they are. And that's exactly what the timeout is about. When Mari Davis got over to me, and as they start to circle around, I said, fellas, I called this timeout for one reason, to tell you how great you are. No matter what transpires over the next 4.5 minutes, you are great. Sam Anderson, you are great. And I pointed every kid out individually and said, you're amazing, you're great. Before the horn sounded for us to break, I said, let's just go out and be who we are. And that's all I wanted to call the timeout for. We'd cut it back. We were down 11 and kind of had cut it, and I felt like momentum was coming our way. I knew I was going to get another timeout into the 4-minute mark with the TV timeout. So I felt like I could, for lack of better words, waste one on just being positive. So that's what I did.
I think it's ironic because typically you do call a timeout to make an in-game adjustment or maybe even to motivate, as we saw Tom Izzo, or maybe call out individuals. experience? Is that what made you think of that culture? What made it come to mind at that point to be that positive at that time?
I think confidence in our guys. Number one, confidence that, we've been down before, and maybe not this particular team hadn't been down a lot, but over the course of many years that we've been there, we've gotten down. We talked briefly about the 2014 team. We were down 18 to Moeller going with 5 minutes to play and won that game. So I just wanted them to know that I believed in them. And no matter what happened, I believe in you. And I believe in your greatness over whatever else is happening. So that was the whole point behind that timeout. Like I said, I knew within a minute we were going to get another dead ball and get a timeout. And if we wanted to make an adjustment there, we could. But when you're down, you're pressuring. Who needs to make an adjustment? Pressuring, because that's who we are. So I wasn't worried about that.
Well, we're going to take a break right now. When we come back, we'll continue talking to Trotwood-Madison head coach Rocky Rockhold about the state championship game, and we'll go back over the course of the season, which has been pretty remarkable. We'll be back in a moment on Dayton Sports Huddle.
Submarine House isn't just the place for great subs. It isn't just the place for great cheesesteaks, pizzas, and appetizers. Submarine House isn't just the place to get our own house craft beer, Deep Diver Ale. The Submarine House is the best place to see the big game with your friends and your family. Great reasons to stop by your neighborhood Submarine House.
Check out our great daily specials with locations around Dayton and in Columbus. You're never far from a Submarine House.
Subs, sports, spirits, Submarine House.
Welcome back to Dayton Sports Huddle, The Dish. I'm Jeff Louderback with Richie Moody. We're here with Trotwood-Madison boys basketball coach Rocky Rockhold, the state champion Trotwood-Madison boys basketball team. And coach, you were talking about the last part of the game that you came back from. You said you were 11 points down, then that one timeout, at least according to the report I saw, you were 8 down, and then I believe Amari Davis scores 6 points in a row. What happened from there towards the final minute or two?
It was interesting. We were actually guarding still, and it was a tie game. And I remember going down toward the end of our bench and telling our assistant coach, Tony Clens, I said, look, if we get this stop and we get a score and one more stop, we're going to hold the ball. And he kind of looked at me like I was crazy, and I'm like, well, we're going to take some time off of this thing. And got to be honest with you, that's not something we do a whole lot. We typically attack. And so let's do it. So we actually ended up running about a minute 12, a minute 13 off the end of the clock. There, again, toward the end. Unfortunately, we had Sam Emerson, just misjudged a pass and threw it out of bounds, and that led to us having to do, I feel like, what we do best, which is get a stop. And so we knew that we had to get some stops late, and we did. We made some adjustments at that point. We've got some hard and fast rules that we double ball screens and we double dribble handoffs, and we didn't want to leave anybody open. So instead of doing that, we went to what we call our 100, which we switched to everything. If a guy even ran in front of me, you switch and take it away. And I think if you watch it at the end of the game, the three that was taken, not the very last three, but the three before that, where we tied the game, we did a great job of switching out on him. We didn't give him any airspace, and Sam Anderson got the rebound, long throw out. Keontae Hughley, and that put us with the layup to where we knew even if they made a three, it was over. So I'm just yelling at the guys, just stand still, stand still. You know, you didn't want to foul there, you don't want to foul on a three, give up a 4-point play. So I'm just yelling at them at that point. There was about 6 seconds left, just stand still and let it run out. So when that horn sounded, it was just a great feeling watching those guys all come together on the floor and just celebrate.
Yeah, that you mentioned something there that ties back into what you said earlier. To be able to hold the ball, something that you don't do typically, you had to have confidence in your team to be able to do that. And I know your assistant and all the other people, you probably went down that line and said, they were probably like, no, please no, please no. That comes from the head coach and that comes from leadership, and you've talked about the culture and the tradition and everything else. What are some specific things that you do in practice or do with the kids to create that?
A couple of things. So when I got to Trotwood, and as silly as this sounds, I'm not sure we had a real identity. And don't get me wrong, there's been a lot of great teams and a lot of great coaches, but with that particular group of kids, I'm not sure they had an identity. And so we wanted to instill the identity, and we believe we had great athletes. And what better thing to do with great athletes than let them be who they are? And so we decided, we're going to work really hard to try to turn them loose. And everyone didn't buy in right away. And we had to go all the way back to, you know what, when you show up on game day and you show up at practice, you're going to wear Trotwood colors. Back when I first started, the highlighter shoes were in style and the multicolored. So they were wearing whatever they wanted and different color socks. And so we started to build the culture with that. You'll see our guys wear the same colors. They really dress the same. They stay the same. And that's part of it. And then I think the big piece is our practices are, and all high school coaches are this way, I'm sure, but practices are really scheduled. I mean, they're scheduled down to we turn the clock on and the horn sounds, we move on to the next drill. Everything is fast paced. You're not allowed to walk on the floor. You're not even allowed to walk to go get a drink of water. And so, we just instilled we're gonna play. And even during a break, we're gonna hustle. And so again, as kids bought into that, because it doesn't mean anything if at the end of the day your coaching philosophy is strong if the kids don't believe in it. And they started saying they could win. And I think they really started saying we can have fun with this. If he's gonna let us really get out and play, we can have fun with this. A lot of guys can score, a lot of guys can be a part of it. So I think that was a big part of it. It was just building that culture to where they bought in.
Well, that in high school, no other team, and I know Jeff's going to touch on it. I mean, you guys averaged 100 points, and it's a fun style of brand of watching, not only at college or pro, but especially in high school basketball.
We have very few offensive rules, to be honest with you. We want to play like there's a shot clock. We don't want to shoot a ton of threes. I think that's a misconception. People think we scored a lot of points. I think going into the Final Four, we'd only made 89 threes or something like that. It wasn't a ton. So we just feel like we want to attack. Everything was about attacking, and that's how we scored.
Well, defensively, you create so many turnovers. Yeah, you're going to shoot a lot of layups that way. But you knew. I'm assuming when you got into tighter games, early in the year and in different situations where you had to knock some threes down. You knew you had some guys that could knock some threes down.
We did. We absolutely have some guys who can step out there and shoot it. And I think Amari Davis being one of those guys that people overlook. They thought he was just a mid-range guy or a slasher, and they don't understand how hard he's worked every single year on something new with his game. And the three-point shot was his thing. This past summer and the spring and fall, all he did was work on, I got to be more consistent from three. And man, those two big threes in the fourth quarter in the state finals, it doesn't get better than that.
And Amari Davis is heading to Wisconsin, Green Bay. This season, you started off with a 133-50 win over West Carrollton, and that seemed to set the pace for the rest of the season. I was doing some research, and 14 games, I believe, with 100 or more points, including 130 plus 3 times. And I know I'm going to be interviewing you for a story for the Dayton Sports Huddle website. We're looking at Trotwood-Madison, Springfield, and Centerville, 3 of the best basketball programs in the Dayton area. And all 3 of you win different ways, which I find really fascinating. And you were talking about how Trotwood wins, and obviously defense drives points, but you got to be able to hit the shots as well. And you don't score 130 points without hitting some threes here and there.
Yeah. Well, honestly, we scored over 100 multiple times and only made 1 3 in the game. So, we did do it a lot without threes. I think a big key to that is even when we subbed guys in, if games were out of hand, we made sure we set our starters. We weren't trying to run the score up on anybody. But at the end of the day, you can't tell your younger kids go out there and don't really play. Don't play our style. Don't play how we play. Just go out and go through the motions. You're not gonna maintain a culture that way. So even our young guys that came in, they wanted to score, and they knew if I have to score, in order to score the way I want to score, I got to guard. And I have to play hard defensively. And so, again, I think it just goes back. I know we've talked about it a lot, but I think it goes back to the culture. Even those young guys, those JV guys came in and had a quarter left or 2 quarters left that they could play. They got after it. I think the tone was set by the Amari Davises, the Carl Blantons, the Justins, they set the tone. This is how we play. And if you don't want to buy into it, we're going to run over you. And that's why our young guys play the way they do.
And I think it's so important that you've kind of forced some rule changes with the OHSA, and I know they do it in the tournament. Is it 30 points when you're up in the second half, or 35?
So if you go up 35, the clock starts running, and then if the team cuts it to under 30, then it goes back to a normal clock.
Yeah, and I think that is so good, because you're giving those younger kids a chance. Why should they be punished when they come in to be able to, okay, well, I want 5 passes, I want the ball to go around the horn before we score. So,
which is great if that's your system and that's who you are.
Yeah.
I think that's great. I think if you flip that, a great program like Centerville, they're not going to get a big lead, bring guys in and say, okay, now we want to trap and push the ball. We don't want to make multiple passes. So I think people expect us to do different because it's a different animal. They expect us then to slow it down, but we still need to be who we are.
When we come back from break, we're going to talk to Trotwood-Madison head boys basketball coach Rocky Rockhold about next season.
Dayton Sports Huddle has now launched its online publication, and you can keep up with all the local sports at DaytonSportsHuddle.com.
The Submarine House isn't just a place for great subs. It isn't just the place for great cheesesteaks, pizzas, and appetizers. The Submarine House isn't just the place to get our own house craft beer, Deep Diver Ale. The Submarine House is the best place to see the big game with your friends and your family. Great reasons to stop by your neighborhood Submarine House.
Check out our great daily specials. With locations around Dayton and in Columbus, you're never far from a Submarine House.
Subs, sports, spirits, Submarine House.
High school, I started working with my uncle, doing random contracting for property maintenance companies. So we did a wide array of things, from concrete repairs to rotten siding and roofing and drywall, and I was good at it. I tried to think about what the customer would want more than what I want. I care about my work, and I do basically everything custom.
Contact Kalen Skies for your custom design quote today. Renew your home one room at a time. Sky's the limit for your custom design.
Welcome back to Dayton Sports Huddle, The Dish. We're here with state champion Trotwood-Madison boys basketball coach Rocky Rockhold. And I know, Coach, you probably don't get tired of us saying that.
Still feels good to hear. I think, and I don't want to talk too much about it, but I think I carried the trophy around for a couple of days. I took it to work with me one day. I'm just, it's a great feeling.
it's like the Stanley Cup, right?
Absolutely. Let it make its tours.
And before the break, you were talking about players who contributed to all season long, and you weren't just senior. I mean, you had key seniors, obviously, led by Amari Davis, but you keep on mentioning Carl Blanton, Sammy, and you have some other players coming back. So now, the season's over, and now you have to erase the chalkboard and start over with the new roster. What do you think about next season, and how are you starting preparations?
Well, we're still excited, and we're going to enjoy this championship for a while before we really genuinely get back into it. We're going to take some time off, but Carl Blanton's a phenomenal player. He's an amazing athlete. He's already starting to pick up Division I offers in football, and we are getting Division I calls for basketball as well. he may be a kid who has an option to do one or the other. Heck, who knows in this time? Maybe you can do both. I think with specialization that makes it tough, but we encourage that. We definitely encourage our kids to do it. Sam Anderson, same thing. I don't know anybody that hasn't also had a man in football. He's a great defensive back, and he's going to be a key part to us. He really makes our team and our pace go. We saw a difference with him in there. Keontae Hughley's going to be obviously a big piece of what we do. We have a sophomore, Carter Mims, logged a lot of minutes. Didn't have a great day in the final game, so we limited his time. But he's going to be a fantastic player, just lightning fast, and really enjoys playing the way that we play. He does a great job on ball defensively. He's a little undersized, but his speed makes up for it. And then we've got some young guys that we like. We have Carl Brenton's brother, Tamir Blanton, who will be a sophomore. He's a freshman this year. Sellers Little, a guard. We're really guard heavy. So I think it's going to cause some matchup problems for other teams. They're going to have to figure out how to play with our speed and play kind of down to our size, I hope. That's what we're trying to figure out. So we're not going to change a lot of what we do. I think our system is in place, and the guys really they match that system right now. Now, obviously, if something happened and we got a great, somebody grew and ended up with a 6'7", 6'8" kid, you need to slow it down, we'd figure that out. Right? But right now, we don't have that, so we don't play fast.
Well, I know I refereed some of your middle school teams, and I know you got some talent down there. What sort of things do you do? I'm assuming that your varsity staff, you're very integrated in with the youth program in Trotwood as well.
No doubt, our youth program is really strong. We've got some parents that are doing a great job with our younger groups, our 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. On the 7th and 8th grade level, we work really hard with those head coaches to make sure that they're implementing. They've got to do it a little different because those young men's minds don't work the same. But we're trying to make sure that they're implementing the way that we're playing. And we're trying to teach them the skill of the game, but still to do it at a quicker pace. And so we like our young guys. Again, I think our 7th and 8th grades got some guards that we really like having. Not a lot of bigs. So, we're just going to have to play the way we play until we figure out, how to compensate for not having that.
Well, you have the culture built, defending state champions next year. Some exciting players coming back. But obviously, there's been a lot of controversy with the news about Trotwood and the G-Walk. How do you feel about that, and what are the plans for the future for Trotwood as an athletic program?
Well, we feel like we've built some rivalries within the G-Walk, and we've had some teams that we genuinely enjoy playing. Hopefully we can continue to schedule them as we move forward if it's a good fit. I know Coach Cups and I, we enjoy being around each other and competing against each other here in Centerville, and the same with Wayne and Springfield. We feel like there's some natural rivalries there that, maybe we can't base those rivalries on winning a league title, but we can still have good competitive games. So we'll try to implement them. We haven't made a plan yet for what league looks like. We've been working really hard on it. We've got one more year in what is essentially the G-Walk makeup of next year, so we'll be a part of that. And then after that is when we'll move into another scenario. And our athletic director, Frank Russo, is working really hard to try to get us in a right situation, and I have confidence that we'll do that. So we'll just see how it goes. If you know anything about me, we're going to play anybody. We're going to play absolutely anybody. It doesn't matter. Some of those league games we've had in the past, we couldn't control that. You can't control who you have to play twice, but if you look at our non-league schedule, we're willing to play whoever is out there that's good and really test our kids and prepare them for a tournament run.
And that's what most better coaches, they would prefer to play the best competition out there at any given time, because that's how you're going to push each other, and that's how you're going to develop a program. So I appreciate what you're saying about, whatever league, whatever happens, we've already got some created, and hopefully the coaches feel the same way, and the ADs, whether they're in the G-Walk or the new leagues that are all popping up around, feel the same way as well.
Absolutely. It'll be fun. I think that change isn't always bad. It's uncomfortable. It's always uncomfortable, but it's not always bad. And so I think those teams that broke off from us, they'll find their way, and I'm pretty sure Trotwood Sports will find its way.
Well, you mentioned some of your players being highly touted as football players as well, and now Trotwood-Madison has a basketball state title to match a football state title. Not many schools could say that.
Absolutely. I think we're talking to Carrie Ivey and our assistant offensive coordinator for football, and I think we broke down something like 10 finals or Final Four appearances for the sports in 8 years or something crazy like that. And so, it's great to be a part of that tradition, and that tradition makes a difference. We work well together, we all communicate, we don't feel like someone's stealing kids or not stealing kids, we try to share time. And so I think, again, that's how you can build some tradition, and it all goes back to the kids' willingness to put in the work. If you're willing to work for both, I think you can see the results of it.
Yeah, I mean, we've had talked about this on some of the other shows about kids playing multiple sports, and it sounds like you're in agreement with it makes a more well-rounded, not only athlete but also a student and an individual.
When these young men go out in the world, they're not going to be under one boss for the rest of their lives. They're going to have to learn to maneuver and work with multiple voices and multiple folks bringing leadership. And if all you do is specialize and all you do is play for one coach in high school, I think it's hard to gain that skill. And at the end of the day, that's what we're about, is what's that skill when they're adults. And so we'd like to think we're a big part of that for them.
Well, earlier in the show, I was talking about the Trotwood-Madison being the Division I state champs and obviously Division II, but we were talking about the G-Walk, and I just naturally consider Trotwood, the G-Walk as mostly Division I teams. Do you think that there will ever be a time when Trotwood, kind of like what Akron, St. Vincent, St. Mary was, they went up from Division II to Division I? Do you see that as a possibility, or have you heard anything about that?
Well, I think with enrollment, you never know. We've got some larger classes, entire classes coming that are in our middle school and junior high. We've got a little higher enrollment than we've had, so it's possible. And I think for us, it's just a matter of let's prepare our kids. When we made the Final Four in 2014, we were Division I, and so I know Jeff and his staff has had to play in Division II in the tournament. They've made great runs in Division II for them. So for us, we're just gonna play it out. As enrollment increases and we get moved up.
Are you guys fairly close to being Division?
We're not far off.
Oh, okay.
We're not
with
far off,
enrollment.
so it could happen. Yeah. So it could very well happen. Absolutely.
Well, we're coming down to our final minute. This has been a remarkable show, Coach. I think it's fascinating that I would like to see you booted up to Division I, because I know it would be even more competitive, but to get out of this district, you would need to get past Trotwood, Springfield, Centerville, and then if you get in the regionals, you would have to get past Moeller. So that would be exciting basketball and football.
It'd be a lot of fun. It'd be a lot of fun, for both sports. Basketball and football would be a lot of fun.
Well, once again, congratulations, and thanks for joining us. And we'd love to have you back, maybe
bring a trophy
later next
time. We got room for it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll set it right out here.
Great.
And be sure to visit us at DaytonSportsHuddle.com, and on Twitter, we're now on Twitter with Twitter.com/DaytonDish, and of course we're on Facebook as well. And for Richie Moody, I'm Jeff Lauterbach. Thanks for joining us here at Submarine House in Centerville. Have a great day.
Dayton Sports Huddle, The Dish, is brought to you in part by Submarine House, Subs, Sports, and Spirits, and by Done Did It Sports Clips, making stars of the future, stars today.